Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Nostalgia Podcast. I'm your host, joined as always by...
I'm Dave, y'all.
And today we're getting into Demolition Man, 1993. So we're talking early 90s. Box office around that time. Top 10 here, Nightmare Before Christmas. Cool Runnings was definitely not in the top 10, but it was a personal favorite of mine. Number one in the box office that year is Jurassic Park. There's Miss Doubtfire, another favorite of mine. Robin Williams, love the guy, God rest him. Aladdin. And also from Sly earlier in the year, because this movie came out around, it was like October, November, I'd have to look. Earlier in the year, Cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I point that out is because when you think about the sort of the eras of Sly, right? This is 93. The 80s were his Rockies, right? Rocky 5 came out in 1990, so this was him going in a different direction slightly in his career. The 80s had Rockies, that Cobra, Tango and Cash, Over the Top, all that classic Sly stuff. And then coming into the 90s, that's where later on he'll do Judge Dredd and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot and Assassins and some of these other things he does before he kind of goes a little bit quiet in his career for half a decade or so. But then also I want to set the table on the era. I opened up a Toys R Us catalog that I found online. Toys R Us Christmas catalog. And I just went to page one. I wanted to know what was hot. That page one, Sarah, was full of Sega Genesis and SNES consoles and games, naturally, with Mortal Kombat being highlighted as, big and brand new and stuff like that. We're going to do a whole episode on that one of these days, I promise. So many Tiger Electronics. Do you remember those pieces of shit?
Oh, yeah.
I remember hating them back then because I'd get really excited looking at the art of like a Street Fighter Tiger Electronics, and it's like, what is this?
Just a couple of flashes on the screen.
It was literally flashes. On the same page, Game Genies, if you remember those.
Mm-hmm.
On all consoles, by the way. They were out there. Barneys, lots of Barneys. Purple Dinosaur. The snacks for that year. Number one, I found a list. Number one snack that year, Dunkaroos. Do you remember the Dunkaroos?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me ask you a follow-up to that. I remember the Dunkaroos. There were the Oreo-looking knockoff things. But apparently, in 93 specifically, it was the cheese. So which one do you remember?
The one I had the icing.
Okay, so yeah, it was like an Oreo sort of thing.
No, it was like a birthday cake type. Like it was like white and it had sprinkles in it.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one. I'm thinking of like a chocolate stick cookie thing with white frosting.
I remember they had one with chocolate too.
Okay. Clothing, fashion, right? I was just curious. What were the kids wearing back then?
LA Gears.
Actually, no. I'm going to say it to you and you're not going to be surprised, even 1%. Found a fashion article from that year and the headline was plaid, and more plaid. Now just think about that for a second. Grunge, early 90s, right? Everything apparently smelled like Teen Spirit and artificial cheese, Dunkaroos. So plaid. Vaguely remember it because I was kind of a fan of the grunge scene and just coming out of Seattle with all those folks. So some Temple Pilots, some of that stuff. But that was 93. Dave, if you would, and I don't want to make the same mistake I made last time. What was the movie about? Give us kind of a short synopsis.
Demolition Man. It did come out October the 8th. It's a science fiction action film. Sees John Spartan, played by Sylvester Stallone, a risk-taking police officer who has a rep for destruction. Failing to rescue hostages kidnapped by Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes, crime lord in L.A. Both of them were sentenced to be cryogenically frozen in 1996. Phoenix escapes during parole in 2032 into a violent, crimeless utopia where they can't handle somebody as mean as him, I guess. And as a result, they need an old-fashioned cop for an old-fashioned criminal. So they release Spartan to once again capture Simon Phoenix.
Okay, I have to say this is as many movies were back then. There was like a soft intro to John Spartan, right? Opens up, you see the helicopter, and as tactical as one would expect, he jumps out of the helicopter. Phoenix! It made no sense.
That was all an afterthought too. They originally wanted to start it with him already frozen.
I think this makes a little more sense. I love the montage that we end up seeing later when Sandra Bullock is kind of walking us through that montage about who he was when she gets introduced to the Demolition Man.
They wanted to give a little more to the backstory.
It was a good decision.
They decided to do it. Yeah, it was better that way.
It was a good decision. Before we go any further, though, I do want to talk about that trailer. The way it opened up, you had the deep voice guy. The year is 1996. And then, they painted this whole dystopian future thing. And like many trailers of the time, it did not fit the film. It didn't fit the film.
No, not really.
And the reason I even bring this up, it's not because I actually want to harp on the trailer. It's actually I want to harp on all trailers in general. I firmly believe that trailers, they follow a different trend. And it's not necessarily what's going on in film and media. I think the people who cut these trailers, they see what works and what's receptive, and they basically kind of copy the style, right? That's why you have like serious flicks, but then you have a trailer for it has up-tempo poppy music. The things don't match up. I almost feel like the people who cut the trailers are giving carte blanche to put out whatever using this content that will get eyeballs. I think that's actually even more true when you fast forward to today. All the metrics are based off of how many watches did you have on YouTube. Before the mics came on, you mentioned something really interesting. You pointed out that there were things in the trailer that did not make it into the film. Expand on that, and then I got to follow up.
I think most of the trailer that I saw, all the lines that were spoken, I didn't hear in the movie. And then there were some scenes that you didn't see.
That tequila's hit today. That's interesting to me because reshoots in big, popular blockbuster movies today are pretty damn common. You know that as well as I do. They'll film a whole damn movie and decide that, hey, we need to go back and change a bit or a part or whatever, spend millions of dollars doing it. Less so back then. And yet, you had this, right? And I think that it was very common back then for trailers to be cut well before the final cut of the film has even come together. So then trying to find a trailer where the tone and tenor matched up with the final product, kind of challenging. I don't think it happened as much maybe then as it does now. These studios can go cut a trailer and release it on YouTube that same day, or go onto their own personal YouTube page, pull that trailer down, put another one up there, and boom. But like back then, it wasn't like that, right? You had to get these trailers out. And oftentimes you get these trailers out, Dave, and you're thinking about going through the video store and the VHS and all the physical media you had back then. These trailers that, again, were cut before the damn movie was even finished being edited is now part of history forever as an intro or preview to a different film. So that happened a lot.
And you got to think of all the different cuts they take of the same scene to see what works best.
That, again, to your point, may or may not even end up in the final film. I'll never forget.
But it ends up in the trailer.
It ends up in the damn trailer. I'll never forget classic stoner flick, Half-Baked, how they're in the trailer. He's doing this thing where the goofy one with kind of the weird look.
Oh, Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer, love him. His comedy's amazing. He goes to jump over like a parking meter and like racks himself on it. He goes, oh man, never shows up in the film at all. But it's prominently displayed in the trailer. That's just one of many examples.
That's not even a deleted scene.
But it's a trailer. You can go out there and find it, kids. It's there. Okay, so that's kind of the info dump. You mentioned some of the cast, John Spartan. These names, by the way, they sound straight out of a video game. John Spartan, Simon Phoenix, Wesley Snipes did a great job. He was very, I don't know, emphatic. He owned his scenes. He did. Lieutenant Huxley, a young Sandra Bullock, Edgar Friendly, and I'm gonna take a stand on it. There should have been more Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary was fantastic, so I'm going to stand on that. You pointed out that there was a Jack Black sighting. Rob Snyder did what Rob Snyder does in little itty-bitty bite-sized bites, which is to say, contribute a single funny line. He's like, ha ha ha, the three seashells.
No, so we're police officers. We're not trained to handle this kind of violence.
Oh my gosh. Oh, hold on to that one, kids. We're going to come back to that. Dr. Coteau, Nigel Hawthorne, very well-respected British playwright that they pulled into this somehow. Just kind of a goofy flick. I got some other stuff I definitely want to run through, but Dave, what were the initial feelings that you're kind of having when you first sat down to watch this? Did it stand up the way you expected it to?
No, it was the same feeling. I was excited when I was a kid to watch it. I'm excited every time to watch Demolition Man. It's just a good 90s action flick.
It is. Because we had a lot of those great action flicks of the 80s. This was early 90s, so this was still kind of reminiscent of that. I agree. It was solid and enjoyable and just kind of fun and mindless. And that's great. But there also, and you know I'm a stickler on this, Dave, there was some great writing in this. There's some lines I'm going to call out because it was fun and some of them were very smart. Apologies, that's my dog again. Taco Bell. I want to talk about Taco Bell for a second. I don't know if you know this or not, but between Taco Bell and GM, okay, they spent close to $15 million in marketing, most of which came from Taco Bell.
Because the smart car was the GM, I think they called it an ultralight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they apparently heavily modified existing cars just for the set of this film. And of course, they want their logo out there. Taco Bell it was part of the film, right? They're great restaurant wars. Like every restaurant is Taco Bell.
Well, they weren't afraid to be tied in with a rated R movie. A lot of other places were, and Taco Bell was like, we'll do it.
It's smart. Especially when you think back to, the first Ninja Turtles movie and Domino's, right? Product placement works.
Well, international cuts of this movie, it's not Taco Bell.
Really?
It's Pizza Hut.
You're kidding me.
No. Because at that time, Taco Bell wasn't worldly known. Pizza Hut was.
Wow. So does that mean, so you're saying in international cuts, the actors actually say different words?
I haven't seen an international cut, but
That is amazing.
Pizza Hut is the restaurant they use. But they're both, Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, they're both owned by Yum brands.
Yeah.
So along with KFC, which that would be my version.
Well, I'll have the listening audience know that KFC is huge in foreign markets, particularly in Japan and other Asian markets as well. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that they used a different brand. Same corporate parent, I understand, but just a little surprising is all. I would assume that Taco Bell is already huge, but, it's 30 years ago. So
apparently it wasn't.
Yeah.
Here in the States, but
fair enough.
Not overseas.
So if you would, Dave, just give me a couple highlights from the early part of the movie.
I can give you a goof. You remember the beginning? He punches the barrels of gas and he has his torch. He lowers it down twice.
Yeah.
And neither time did it catch fire.
So it was meant to.
Well, it's gasoline. It's the fumes that catch fire, not the liquid.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I guess I didn't catch that. All right, what else?
So this movie actually was filmed shortly after the LA riots.
Okay.
So a lot of the LA scene that they use there, damage you see and everything like that, it's from that.
Okay.
Of course, the sign wasn't on fire, the Hollywood sign, but...
Fair enough. Okay, so one thing I want to add from the beginning. Let's say cryogenics actually was something that would work, right? Do they have to be naked when it happens? I don't know. I don't know the science with the stuff, or even the pseudoscience in this case. But there were so many awkward angles of Sly. Like, they open up like this little bathtub thing. He gets down in it naked, goes in the fetal position. Why would you freeze somebody in the damn fetal position? Like, that's just cruel. Have him stand upright. My God. And then they had these camera angles where they're like floating it around him in 360 degrees and getting all these weird, strange up close shots of his hip and his calf and I don't know, maybe his abs. And it's like, whose idea was to have Sylvester Stallone come in, get down in the fetal position, act like he's unconscious, and just float a camera all around? Like, so weird.
Those were modes that was in Ice. Those were modes of Stallone. And he wanted his package to actually be bigger.
Wow, naturally.
And some of those molds, they actually put in some of the Planet Hollywood restaurants.
Did they really? That's awesome.
None of the ones I've been in, but...
That is awesome. Another thing we talked about off mic before we got going, San Angeles. So I interpreted it as San Diego to LA. You ended up saying, no, Gene, it's actually San Diego all the way up to...
Santa Barbara?
Santa Barbara. So here's what's interesting about that.
It's Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, San Diego, Metroplex area. They refer to that whole region as San Angeles.
So here's what's odd to me about that. I've driven from San Diego to LA, and that's 120 miles plus. And just for reference, Manhattan is less than 14 miles from end to end. So to think that there is a single unified metro area that's 120 miles, I mean, that's even if you get in like multiple cities like the DFW, right? Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton. Going from one side to the other is never more than 40 miles. How do you have a metro area that's 120 miles? That is insanity.
Well, you also have Orange County mixed in there with it, and I think Irvine.
Yeah, it's just hard to believe. Like that some smart person said, let's get this whole like several counties worth, and we're gonna call it one metro area. That doesn't make sense. Not important, but
well, you can leave that to the people that did Blade Runner because that's where it started.
So that was a reference, San Angeles.
It's just been used in several different things. Blade Runner, Double Dragon.
Okay, all right.
In the Judge Dredd comics, when they say Mega City 2,
okay,
that's San Angeles. That's what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And then Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. Apparently they're from San Angeles there.
All right.
So it's been used in several things. And I tried to look up and see if part of this big universe with Demolition Man in it, but it's not. It's just they're using San Angeles.
Okay, so there's another kind of piece I want to talk about that is early on in the film, right before the action really gets going, but we get introduced to the morality statute machine. Okay, so this is Sly coming out of the bathroom. Hey, you don't got any toilet paper? Comment about the seashells. And he gets his toilet paper by cussing a lot in this machine and getting these tickets printed out. That's interesting because I feel like dotted throughout this movie, there are little one-liners, there's zingers, little things where they're kind of poking fun at the fact that this future utopia is completely over-sanitized to the point of being a little bit hypocritical. But this is one of those things, right? Like even today, in the modern year we live in, you hear about morality police and thought police and stuff like that. And you're talking about a movie done in 93 that prophetic in some way, maybe intentional, maybe unintentional, but it keeps coming up. And I'm going to touch on it again as we get toward the end of this podcast. But it's interesting how forward-looking it is. Like when they get to a point where one of the police officers like, what's a 187? It's been so long since there was a murder, they don't even know what it is. Or like you talked about off mic, we're police officers, and we're not trained to deal with this kind of violence. It's like, interesting. And that's not a dig at police officers. It's more like you get to a certain level of civility, call it, and all of a sudden you're straight up ill prepared for the not so sensible things in life. You know what I mean? That's what I think this kept pointing at. And then the fact that they had this whole underground resistance, as they call it, people living down below. There's some level of hypocrisy, right? You're clean and tidy and everything up and orderly up top. And these folks down below, just because they don't want to adhere to the morality statutes, are othered. That's fascinating when you think about it. There's a difference of opinions and they're straight up othered.
I don't understand, because they have guns. I don't know why they don't just go up top and take over.
I hadn't thought about that, but yes, they are armed. And the people up top are using these weird baton things.
It's a glow rod.
Glow rod. That does not sound like a real thing. There's a lot of Mr. Rogers references, both directly and indirectly, kind of throughout the film. Like the CompuChat, joy feelings. And the fact that when they listen to music, it's like jingles. Like
So commercials.
Old commercial jingles. Like everything is so cheesy. And I think honestly, Dave, that's what helps our characters stand out in contrast. Both John Spartan and Simon Phoenix is that they're a little more raw, and these folks are anything but. The montage. Anything about that montage when Huxley was introduced to this idea, this concept of this guy called the Demolition Man? Anything about that jump out at you?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, it was a lot of, you destroyed this, you destroyed that, but that's what he did.
But there's one point where he's coming out of the rubble of some building holding a little girl.
Oh, the shopping mall. He destroyed a whole shopping mall.
And the reporter's like, how could you do all this damage? And threw out some kind of ungodly number of money for only one child or something like that.
The ransom was $25,000.
$25,000, right? Millions of dollars damage for $25,000 ransom. Only, right? Like kind of being reductive towards saving the little girl. And the little girl looks at her and says, fuck you, lady. And Sly's character's like, good response, and keeps on walking.
Good answer.
Good answer. I thought that was great. And then kind of similar on the same subject. Anything not good for you. And they actually said this. Anything not good for you is illegal.
No, anything not good for you is bad and also considered illegal.
Right.
Or not allowed and also considered illegal.
Think about the slippery slope there. We're not talking about things that are bad, straight up bad. Heroin is bad, right? But like chocolate, physical sex, kissing, like anything that could lead to anything.
Physical contact, red meat, alcohol. I don't think they mentioned drugs, though.
No, because I'm sure they got rid of that so long ago it didn't even matter.
Like they don't even think to say drugs are illegal. It's like,
right. It's just
like they don't even know.
Again, that's a callback to what happens to you when you're willing to over sanitize things to the extent that people just aren't even like living free. They don't even realize it. Like that's wild to me that this message existed back then. Museum. Actually, before we go to the museum, because there's a lot that happens at the museum, I'm gonna pass the ball back to you. What are you thinking?
There's a lot of pop culture stuff in this movie.
Give me some.
Okay, so remember when Dennis Rodman started coloring his hair? He did it after this movie.
Really?
Yeah, because he liked that look. So he started coloring his hair. Which Wesley Snipes, by the way, hated it. As soon as filming was done, he shaved his hair off.
I thought he looked kind of cool.
Yeah, apparently so did Dennis Rodman. But, I mean, that was a huge thing back then.
Okay.
Dennis Rodman, whoa, he colored his hair. That's cool.
Well, Dennis Rodman had a very loud personality. I mean, he liked
But the hair really showed it off, though.
I agree. I loved everything about that character. So that sucks that Wesley didn't like it, but, it was a character. He played it. I'm glad that he went with it.
Yeah. We almost didn't have Wesley Snipes either, though. He refused it at first.
The coloring of the hair or the role in general?
The role.
Why?
Of Simon Phoenix. He just wasn't interested, I guess. They showed up to one of his other movie sets and convinced him there. Stallone tried to get Jackie Chan to be Simon Phoenix.
Oh, I wouldn't have liked that at all.
Well, Jackie turned it down. He didn't want to be typecasted as a bad guy.
When did he ever play a bad guy?
That's why he didn't want to do it. He's always been a good guy.
So one thing I have to say about Wesley Snipes, and this is just in reference to Blade, right? He played Blade, one of my favorite trilogies ever. Like, he is at once formidable actor. He was always a physical specimen.
He's a black belt.
Yes, in real life, folks. And that I was aware of. And so, like, and because of that, Dave, when he would do action flicks, like, it always felt like it lended credibility to it because he could get in there, he could bang, he could do these, he could throw a punch, he could kick, he could get into a scrap. I love that about Wesley Snipes.
Did you notice how any of his, or maybe some of his punches, kicks were maybe a little off in this movie?
I didn't, but I wasn't watching for it either.
Yeah, well, originally he would just go at it, and it was too blurry because he was too fast. They told him to slow it down, so he had to slow it down, and some of his movements look a little awkward.
But to be fair, though, like, think about the two principles, right? Stallone, traditional muscle head, kind of stiff, the way he moves around, the way he throws punches on film, versus someone who's a trained martial artist. Yeah, one's going to be a lot more fluid than the other. So.
Well, even when he's fighting all those cops at the beginning, though, I mean, he's just going at it. He had to slow all that down. That's just how good he actually was.
Yeah, yeah. It almost makes you wonder, too, like when you fast forward to once Jackie Chan stuff started getting popular and some of that, like, I almost wonder if he'd come out like a decade later, Wesley Snipes, that is, if he would have been even more successful than he was, because he was capable of that fast-paced action that now is actually quite popular when you think about the Jason Bournes and some of that stuff. Like, he could have probably had a whole big second part of his career.
I think he started something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you had Van Damme, who really started the martial arts thing over here. But then Wesley Snipes, he was kind of like the new guy and doing it. And he had some different movements, kind of like Seagal, they all had different styles.
Yeah, yeah.
But without Wesley doing it when he did, I mean, you'd never have Passenger 57, Drop Zone.
Good films, by the way.
You wouldn't have Blade. He wouldn't have been Blade if he started later, I don't think.
That's true.
He wouldn't have built up that reputation of being good on screen with martial arts.
Fair enough.
So I think he came in at a good time. He just didn't pay his taxes. That's what hurt him.
I will say, Dave, if you get a chance, watch a film on Netflix called Rebel Ridge.
Seen it.
Okay, primary actor in that, I would love for him to be the next Blade. I just want to put that out in the universe, see what happens.
He already kind of has those eyes.
I think he has the eyes. He has that physicality that you need for that character. So I would very much like for that gentleman.
I mean, his job in that movie was to teach martial arts.
There is that.
So I don't know if he's actually good at it or not, but I've never seen him in anything else.
The museum, I enjoyed that whole scene end to end. Because for first off, they had the section called the Hall of Violence.
Some more quick pop culture stuff for you. Hall of Violence. So, all right, so the pictures on the wall, the explosions, all that, those are actual pictures from that LA riot. But if you notice, the font of the Hall of Violence is the same font that's used in the video game Diablo.
Wait, so was Diablo popular back then?
Yeah.
I didn't know because I really.
It's a pretty popular PC game.
I know it is now. I didn't know it had those kind of legs that have been around that long. But that's awesome. Particularly the piece you said about them using imagery from the LA riots. I think that's smart. That's really smart. I mean, especially because they keep referencing like this dark period for their current period where the bad times. But still, there's one thing I have to point out. Right. Wesley goes to Hall of Violence, sees all the weapons, asks that one guy, how much do you weigh? After he tries to kick the glass, and it's like, 120, 140 pounds, whatever, throws him through the damn glass, right? Okay, fine, whatever. I'll let it go. Where's he getting all this damn ammo, Dave? I understand that they were putting the guns on display. Where was he getting all these bullets?
They got to showcase the bullets, too. Probably cases of them. This is, this is a range pack. This is, this is a regular box of shells. I mean,
I just have a hard time believing that in this sissified future, that museum director is not only requisitioning these quote unquote antique firearms. He's like, let me get a couple 1,000 rounds of ammo. It was crazy. Like at one point, who starts off with the sawed off? Was that Wesley or Sly?
That was Snipes.
That's okay. Like boxes of 12 gauge sitting around that I guess were off camera somewhere. Come on.
I mean, it's the future. They probably look at it like, can't believe this stuff existed back then.
And let's all keep it right here beside the gun.
It's not like they're going to know how to use it.
Fair enough.
And if Snipes couldn't break into it, they're not going to be able to.
There's that. I will say, too, that I love the banter between Sly and Simon Phoenix. Just because there's one point where Simon's saying something to him, just talking shit to him. They're talking shit to each other.
They got you out to get me? You've been had.
There's a point where Sly stops fighting, stops shooting long enough to say, you forgot to say Simon Says.
Oh, yeah.
The one-liners. It's almost like there was like a per-minute requirement on one-liners.
Bad day, Blondie.
Yes. Like it was of the time. That's how they did things back then. Loved it. I'm not talking shit about it, but it's just funny to sit back and watch. And you know what, Dave? Maybe that's some of the shit I like about it. You know what I mean? When you talk about mindless fun. Because would that ever happen in the heat of battle? Are you going to think to get witty in the middle of trying to not die? Probably not. But this makes the film fun.
Only in the great 80s movies.
There's that. Moments later, our Dr. Cocteau, is that the name was Cocteau?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was meant to be a joke, but enter the real villain, the architect of this modern era. And this is like one of those many instances of films back then where you know it when you see the real villain, or at least the guy who's pulling the strings. That guy was so creepy from the very first instant. He was almost like, you ever worked somewhere, Dave, where you had like a CEO reference your work life? Like, we're all family. We're all a family here. That's what this was for me, Dave. It was like a CEO getting real preachy. Like, we're all family here. Like, it was that level of oogie. I'm like, oh, this guy, there's something twisted about this guy. And sure enough, he was the one who unthawed our other villain, Huxley. Just real quick, I got to know, what were your thoughts on Miss Sandra Bullock's role as young Lieutenant Huxley in this film?
Well, originally it was Lori Petty.
Okay, educate me. Lori Petty is...
She was a Tank Girl. She was the girl in Point Break.
Okay.
League of Their Own.
Which one? League of Their Own was stacked.
She was the, I think she was the little sister.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, the short haired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally it was her, and she only got to film one scene. It said it wasn't working out, so they got Sandra Bullock. But yeah, Sandra did a pretty good job in that role. You know, I believe that was like one of her breakout roles.
I mean, it was real early in her career, so I don't doubt it.
It was right there with Speed. I don't remember when Speed came out.
Okay, fair enough.
That might have been 92.
It had to have been damn close.
92, maybe 93, 94.
Yeah, it had been damn close. I will say this. I'm always kind of harping on the writing of these films, right? She had an amazing ongoing shtick where she would try to reference these kind of machismo lines from the 90s, but she totally fuck it up.
Take this job and shovel it.
Or how about you really licked his ass?
Yeah. It's kicked. It's kicked.
All movie long. Like, I'm telling you folks, you go watch this. Just pay attention to the silly shit that comes out of her mouth. That is just funny because she delivers it in such an adorable way, because she says it and she delivers it cold, straight face, and she's confident that she hit the nail on the head. She did it properly. She never does.
Hey, she got the car right though.
Yes. Oh, did you notice? I'm 100% sure that if I noticed it, you noticed it because you're a bigger fan of this guy than I am. There was a
Justin Tur?
No. Oh. There was a Schwarzenegger library, presidential library.
Yeah.
Okay. Prophetic. He didn't become president, but he did become governor, right? The governor of California. Again, a little prophetic. Who would have thought he literally was going to go into politics? Shit made it into the movie. That's nice.
And actually, afterwards, there were a few senators that tried to pass a bill to where somebody like him could be president. They wasn't born.
Natural born. Yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't get passed. So otherwise, he might have actually been president.
A couple other highlights I wanted to talk about. I loved a lot of the interactions between Sly and Dr. Coteau, just because when you look at the interactions between Wesley's character and Dr. Coteau, and obviously Dr. Coteau has some kind of programming in him, right? So he was controlling Wesley. Yeah. There was times when he tried to point a gun out and he couldn't squeeze the damn trigger. But Sly was the variable he didn't intend on. Sly was the rabid dog. And, even right up to the end where he's like, be well. And Sylvester Stallone's like, be fucked. And he shoots the camera alarm or whatever. I love their interactions.
No, he shot the morality machine.
He shot the morality. That's what it was, the morality machine, which deserved to be shot, to be honest here. Fuck that machine. I love their interactions.
But he does knit, though.
Oh, my gosh.
Part of his rehabilitation program.
How messed up is that? These guys that are on ice are somehow getting new skills and thoughts and programming that they don't even realize they're getting. Which, by the way, if you could deprogram a psychopath to not be a psychopath, cool. But I think there's a bit of a hole there, Dave. Because think about it. If you're meant to reform somebody, then you're trying to change how they think on a fundamental level. Sly was the same dude. He could just now knit. So it's only additive and not reductive.
Snipes was the same guy. He was just stronger, smarter.
Apparently became a computer expert.
Yeah, he had a knowledge of everything, and he had martial arts training now, and knew how to kill. And
he knew the super secret password, teddy bear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess like their whole program is strictly additive, not reductive. You're not taking anything away. You're just adding things. I gotta say, when Sly first goes down into the resistance layer, he gets that rat burger. We talked about the rat burger. The lady who was working the food truck or whatever that was, food stall, loved her, by the way. And he's like, rat burger. There's rat in this burger. And the lady, she's like, And then he gives that look where he's like, okay, fine, whatever. I think if you're frozen, Dave, for as long as he was frozen, like getting a beer and a burger, the bar is kind of low.
Nobody else is walking around with his kind of muscles. And if he's not eating meat, I'm sure he's pretty hungry.
Probably all the damn time, if we're being honest here.
So he was like, I don't care what kind of meat it is. I want it.
Speaking of down below, Edgar Friendly, i.e. Mr. Leary, Mr. Dennis Leary, his monologue is one of the greatest in all of film. I'm not going to go over it. I want the folks listening to this, go watch the film. It's a rant that ends with him talking about walking down the street.
Naked. In Jello, smoking a cigar the size of Cincinnati.
Singing the Oscar Mayer wiener. Like, it's amazing. It's classic Dennis Leary, like, pissed off rant. But Dave, that's a lot of my contention as to why, sir, he should have been in more of the film as comic relief.
No.
You don't think so?
No. I think he was just enough.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Because if we get more Dennis Leary, then who's to say we don't get less Sandra Bullock and her funny lines? I wouldn't want that either.
That or less Stallone,
less
Snipes.
Yeah, you're probably right, because if I'm being completely honest, I'm a little bit leery anytime I'm watching a movie or TV show and the camera cuts away from the main character for too long. So you're right. If there's more of him, then there's more of what's Sly up to. I don't want that. No one wants that.
He did do a little bit more than Rob Snyder.
Well, I mean, Rob Steiner had, 2 lines?
I'm just saying, you get one in there, he does his thing, he's out. You get Dennis Leary in there, he does his little thing, he's out.
Fair enough. Toward the end of that scene, there was a bit of a confrontation between Simon, his newly unthawed thugs, and then Sly in the underground. That music, I don't know if you remember or not, it had serious, like, Batman 89 vibes. Like, it was almost like a jingle. Like, you're trying to get hyped up for this battle, and it's like almost like I'm trying to think of the Prince song from Batman 89, but it reminded me of that.
Party Man?
Could have been. This is what it reminded me of.
You remember at the very beginning, when he jumps off the helicopter and goes inside the building, he's up against that wall and this guy's coming and he does that back fist, like what Batman does.
There's that. And also shout out to Wesley, because at one point he had some overalls on. And that was a very 90s thing there.
Yeah.
So shout out to him for that. The chase. There was a chase where Stallone drives for the first time. And I couldn't put it out of my mind because there's a point where he's driving. I think he's chasing Wesley's character. Yep. And I think Wesley shoots at him or something like that and blows out a tire. And the tires have auto-inflate because it's the future.
No, it was reverse. Snipes was driving the smart car.
Oh, and then he boots him out of it, right?
And Stallone shoots the tire, and then Wesley's like, auto-inflate. And then Stallone's like, dang it.
How silly is that? It's auto-inflate, as in automatically inflate. It requires utterance of the word. Inflate. It's like, wait a minute, you're automatic. Shouldn't you know that you're flat?
It is a GM.
It is a GM. I have in my notes, and I think I wrote it down 2 or 3 times throughout the film. Every time we get into these big epic battle scenes, there's a lot of 90s eras guns being fired, and I keep asking myself, where are these people getting the ammo? It doesn't make sense.
It's a movie.
Alas.
It's a movie magic.
I'll tell you what was magical when Stallone is yelling at the car, and he's saying, "Break, you Mickey Mouse piece of shit."
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he gets out, and she's like, You're all tore up. He's like, oh, it's okay. I just need a needle and thread. I can fix it later.
A needle and thread. Great little throwaway line. See, if you're not paying attention, you miss it. It's good stuff. The scene where Wesley confronts the doctor for the last time. Okay, this is shortly before Doctor dies, right? First to him is an evil Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
He makes a statement. He says, "You can't take away people's right to be an asshole." Interesting from a philosophical standpoint. Because to me, that is the writer or the director doing that finger pointing thing. Like, hey, this is what happens when you go too far into political correctness and trying to overregulate people's thoughts.
I did have some good writers in it, but the director, Marco Barbella, this was his first movie.
Really?
Yeah. He's actually an artist, and I think he does 3D art that he's real big into. But yeah, this was his first movie. He did Access Baggage after, and then Dinotopia. And that's pretty much it. But the writers, they kept in contact with each other, and like the 3 seashells. One of them took a phone call in the bathroom, and he's trying to look around, seeing how he could make the bathroom futuristic. It's like, let's do 3 seashells over here instead of toilet paper.
That's where that came from?
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, it made it into the film. It was hilarious. I never understood, as you pointed out before the mics went hot, how does that even work?
People have made up their own ways to do it.
Oh, no.
But Stallone has confirmed that there's going to be a Demolition Man 2.
Really?
In the works. So maybe it'll get explained in that one.
But hopefully not too graphically.
It would have to. Because there's been too many people that's asked how it works.
Seashells can be sharp. Just saying.
These are polished metal.
Yikes.
I like to think of it as push one, it washes it. Press two, it dries it. And the third one, I don't know, maybe spray a scent or something.
Yeah, that does not sound like a future I want to live in. I'm just saying. Did you have any thoughts on sort of the final scene of this film?
So if you go back to the beginning, Simon Phoenix says, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached, when he's trying to find out where the 30 passengers are.
Yep.
And at the end, after he freezes, Stallone swings around and knocks his head right off. Because after he said, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached, he thinks Stallone said, I'll keep that in mind.
That's a good callback. I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Well, he also called back the, is it code in here or is it just me?
I got that written down. You got to have some one-liners.
So and then it's like good memory.
I'll say that particular fight scene wasn't super exciting for me just because
the one on the car, like down below the museum, that was a good fight scene.
That was
using TVs to hit each other with. I mean, it was almost like wrestlers kind of.
Yes. It's like real life Streets of Rage or something. That was fantastic. But the final fight scene, I felt like there wasn't a lot there. It seemed like it was extremely choreographed. There wasn't a lot of extra oomph put into it. I don't know. That was my perspective on it. But I loved the final scene where the bad guy's been defeated and now everyone's, what's next? What's next? And that's where Sly looks over at Mr. Smiley, Dennis Leary. He's like, well, you need to get a whole lot cleaner. And he looks over at the city folk and like, well, you need to get a little dirtier. But, he was basically saying in his own way.
And then meet in the middle.
Yes, meet in the middle. And again, it's a philosophical thing, but I think it's what happens, right? When you overcorrect in one way, the only way you can equalize, so to speak, is to go the other. In this case, they were sissified to the point where they were helpless, but also like willfully ignorant of the people that lived below them that were starving, who they looked at as basically an annoyance or an inconvenience just because they thought differently. Like Sly's like, open up the dialogue, you idiots. Talk to each other. You can learn from each other. Like that was a genuinely cool thing. I know I'm probably reading a little bit too deep into it, but I don't know. That's just kind of how I received the ending. Did you think differently?
I think if it was today, the way people are now, I mean, they're getting more into that, be nicer, not so insulting and all of that. But if it went to a point to where people had to go on the ground, there's still enough of the people that would be like, well, they're starving down there, so let's send them food, stuff like that. So they're already kind of going a little bit more halfway to helping out.
Agreed.
But I don't think the people on the ground would budge any at all. They would just take it probably.
Probably. But it was a lot of your world versus my world.
Yeah. But if that was to happen today with the way things are, I think that's probably how it would go.
All right. So final thoughts on the film, both personally, just as a guy watching a flick, but then also, where does it stand on your rotational list of things you want to revisit on a regular basis?
Well, this movie it's a lot different than the last one we did. I would probably watch this one more than the Boondock Saints, even though it doesn't have as many F-bombs, which it's only 23 in this one, folks.
Okay. That's a significant decline from our last film.
A lot, but only 23 in this movie.
If you were to pop quiz me on how many I thought there was, I would have guessed higher, for sure.
With a movie that has a morality machine that gives you credits for every time you say a bad word, you would think it would be loaded with them. But yeah, I would revisit this one before the Boondock Saints, but this is just more my kind of style of a film.
So my thoughts, this is one of those films that you enjoy for what it is, not what it isn't. Like it was never going to win an Oscar. It's a cheesy action flick. It is of the era. The music, the sound effects, their goofy, misguided vision of what they thought the future was going to look like. So many one-liners. Still stand on, there should have been a little more Leary, or I would have liked a little more Leary, or maybe if there's a sequel, they can go dig up Dennis Leary, whatever the case may be. I would have liked a little more of that. Sly was Sly. I think, at this point, 93, you're talking about a career. He's well established. He's well established at this point because you figure the first Rocky was in the late 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Well established. He's starting to make different types of films. But by and large, Sly was Sly. And I enjoy Sly in these type of roles. I do. So am I going to put it on any Mount Rushmores? No. Mount Rushmore list? No. I'm not going to do that. But I enjoyed it and I'd watch it again. And not because it's deep, just because there's some random funny stuff that happened. I do have to admit, Dave, is not probably even in my top 5 Sylvester Stallone flicks, but it is on my list of fun, mindless action flicks. So
your top 20 Stallone flicks?
Oh, God, I'd hope so. Jeez. Does he have 20 watchable flicks? He
Oh,
has a
yeah.
lot of good stuff, folks.
I mean, there's 6 Rockies, 2 Creeds that he's in. That's 8 right there. And you got 5 Rambos.
Yeah, this is true.
And you have Cobra, Tango and Cash, Over the Top, Cliffhanger,
Come on, Dave. Don't disappoint me. You're leaving one out.
Demolition Man.
We just did a whole episode on that.
There's a lot.
First off,
Rhinestone.
Say it again.
Rhinestone.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
He sings country music.
I'll have to look it up. No, I was going to say Judge Dredd.
Yeah, Judge Dredd.
I'm one of the few people I know that really enjoyed the shit out of that movie. I like Judge Dredd. I am the law. I like Judge Dredd. And some more Rob Snyder, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else, Dave?
We did the F-bomb count. I think we should do the death count in this one.
Death count. Interesting. Didn't feel like a high body count.
It doesn't. And there's a lot of different answers to this.
Okay.
It depends on how you see it.
All right. How do you see it?
Every body that they talk about in the movie, and then everyone you see. So like the 30 passengers in the beginning that you know were killed.
Yes. Off screen.
I would add that.
Okay.
And a bunch of others. What would you think the number would be if you did all that? Because you got to think at the end, when they're unthawing all these guys and getting ready to unthaw them, the whole building blows up. And he has a list and he says how many's on there.
Okay. If you hadn't qualified with all those things and you were just saying, Gene, just give me a number. 50? Less than 50, I would say. Less than 50.
Like on screen?
I would have said probably total.
Really?
Yeah, but now you're right. The 30 right from the jump. I mean,
On screen and off screen, you have 156 bodies.
wow.
1 rat for the rat burger.
Okay.
And 1 verbal morality machine.
Okay. The number's higher than I would have guessed by a mile.
Yeah, I didn't believe it either. But when I looked it up, they had a little description of every single little one. So apparently, at the end, when they're unthawing everybody, there's like a list of 78 names there. And then all of his henchmen that he had around him, and then everybody else throughout the movie.
I wouldn't have guessed it was that high.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
All right.
Because when I was looking it up, I was like, there's really not many in there.
Huh. Well, because it wasn't like there was a lot of action, but it wasn't a particularly violent movie. I mean, the whole thing took place in this uber sanitized vision of the future. It's a little surprising, I guess. But all right, what else do you got? I went through all my stuff pretty much.
All right. I mean, we've covered everything that I have for this movie. Just a lot of pop culture in this one.
More than I would have thought. That's for sure.
I mean, you can't forget about the video games. Demolition Man on Super Nintendo, Sega.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I'm going to have to go look at it because you said there was an SNES Demolition Man. And I remember the Judge Dredd game, but I don't remember that one.
I think I prefer the sound on the SNES better.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
I think the Genesis has a little bit more blood, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, play them both for a few minutes, but they're pretty fun.
All right.
And they use little audio clips from the movie throughout. So out of 1 through 5, what would you give Demolition Man? And just so you know, you gave the Boondock Saints 4 out of 5.
Okay. I tell you what, Dave, I'm going to give it the same rating that I look for in a phenomenal Asian restaurant Yelp rating, which is to say a 3.
You're going to give it a 3.
Give it a 3.
You're going down 1.
I am. But for the same reason that most Asian restaurants rank 3 on Yelp are phenomenal. And that's because it's all about the substance and not necessarily about servicing any kind of sophisticated whims you might have. Just substance.
Well, this is where we start finding out what you like and what I like.
Okay.
You went down 1. I gave the Boondock Saints a 3. I give this a 4.
Respect. All right. Well, look, I think it's a good place to stop. Thank you again for listening. Again, I'm your host, Gene, joined by my good buddy.
Hi, Dave, y'all. Thanks for coming out.
Y'all take care.